All right. You know it's laundry day when you have an old Chicago Bulls like dynasty. Shouts out to AM Vintage. This is where I got this shirt from. I want to say 2 years ago. Right, ashy shirt. Now I try to be presentable as much as possible on this podcast. Sometimes it's audio, sometimes it's visual. You got visual right now. Prefer audio though. I really would prefer audio instead, but here you go, visual. Because some people want to see me. I find it to be weird, but some people, in fact, do want to see me. All right. And I hate being on video. I hate talking straight into a camera, but I'm just talking like it's you and me. Who was that? Who was talking? Oh, Kanye. I was like, yo, whose verse is that? Or whose bar is that? That was Kanye. Can't tell me nothing. But still, we here. So, dusty shirt, wrinkled shirt, excess lighting in the back, but we're here. New partner banks. Thank you all for being here. What's going on? I've said before, I'll be in a better presentation. Obviously, that doesn't happen because you see it's Christmas lights, but those are my friends because this person believes in Christmas all the time. You know, I don't understand. I don't want to bash anybody, but I don't understand the significance of Christmas because more times than not during Christmas, I'm the one buying gifts. I ain't getting gifts. Get a little bit of money from people. That was a blessing this past because my birthday falls around the same time as Christmas. So, it was a blessing to get some money. Don't give me no money. Give me some coochie. No. Uh, I appreciate anything, man. I'm used to earning every single thing. Or, in the case of my situation, borrowing everything, but I give it back, even if it takes a minute or a while. So when I'm just getting something, it means a lot. Anything, man. Anything. As of this recording, I've gotten my best gift in years, which is a Steam Deck that's supposed to be here by now. But of course, USB is. Now, I understand, you know, people are tired of working. The world is ending anywhere, or it did end. I'll say that it ended in 2023. I hate looking at let me look at the camera. I don't know how it looks, but yeah. The world did end in 2023, or 2023. Well, basically, yeah. It did kind of end this year. Like with the aliens and the weather patterns across the world. The hottest July was the hottest recorded summer in history. It's just like, yo, we really in the end game. Like, not just America, but the world is like, yo, this is the hottest it's ever been. I do kind of ask on what metric based system is that the case? Like, did somebody just make that up as we went along? Did they just say, yeah, this is the hottest? Let me take my notes as well. That's what you got to do. I always say that, take the notes when you're recording. Uh, so when I look at it and they say it's the hottest, really? How you know? Like, what white man technology came up with the metric scale of it's the hottest ever being this summer? But I will say this is a different sun. If you want me to get into my Banks conspiracy theory bag, it definitely is a different sun. I'm used to the sun where, all right, it's hot enough where it's all right, cool. I can get through, might sweat a little bit. Dude, I had the other day, which is costing way too much money. I have to take I'll take 2 showers in general. It could be ice cold. I take 2 showers. This summer, I have to take 3. All right. When I'm out, just drenched in sweat. Never sweated this much in my life. Maybe I just have extra sweat glands that I don't know about, but I feel like it's just hotter than usual. When you just standing there and you sweating, or when you are a significant amount of weight, it's called the fat man towel. And I'm not body shaming, but the fat man towel is known, outside of the fat man world. Man, I gotta have a fat man towel, and I'm not even a fat man. Just because it increasingly gets worse it seems to be every single day. Now we're in August. So it's the hottest month of the year, but I felt like July was probably worse. Could be wrong. Seeing that in LA, it's a hurricane coming, which is insane. We were definitely in the end game. Or maybe God just tied to LA, which is, perfectly fine. That's cool. Get rid of that place anyway. Born and raised in Los Angeles, I have no love for that city. So get rid of it anyway. It snowed earlier this year when I was out there. Yes, it snowed. Redondo Beach, I got the footages. People don't believe me, but people don't care. All people care about is they love social media anyway, being popular. Sorry for rubbing my eyes. That's all I can't worry about. If the world ended or not. Just even though I know it did end, fucking exhausted every day. Like that's why I'm like, I hate to be on camera because I don't know how I look, and I'm extremely insecure about my looks. I don't like to be talked about how I look. Well, I don't like to be complimented on how I look. I don't like seeing myself. Number one, I hate hearing myself, and it's crazy. I do podcasting as a career, one of my careers, and I just hate talking. But all three of my career interests have to do with being vocal. But yet I hate hearing myself talk, and that's why I try to be quiet as much as possible. But it doesn't work like that. So I try to reserve my need to talk on a daily basis, and then especially when I talk so much. But okay, yeah, the past 2 days just labor work, and it's just like in the heat. Never sweated so much in my life. I need to do. Yeah, this is why again, dusty shirt. But it also goes intertwined with what I'll be talking about today. Today it mostly be sports related. Nothing else is going on. Oh, back to that Steam Deck. So nothing else is going on outside of my life instead of like me just, you know, yelling hyperboles at USPS. And again, I understand it's 1,000 degrees outside. It's hard to do your job in a warehouse. Like most USPS workers start at like 3:30, 4 a.m. That's inhuman. I understand that, and mistakes are happening. But it's been a week, and it's being sent from somebody, you know, that's close to me. Shouts out to my cousin. He just was like, "All right, I play PC. I got the Steam Deck. Do you want it?" I was like, "Yeah, I was gonna buy one eventually. Thank you so much." So I guess in that case, if you want something real bad, you'll wait on it, so to speak, or you'll work towards it. So it might not come as you want it to, but it'll always come on time. So we're like my love life. Anyhow, um, so I can't really complain. It's just the fact of when you want something and it's like it's coming, pun intended, phrasing. You ready for it to be released? It's a lot of phrasing going on. No, it's just the point of when you order something, or when order it, or somebody send it, whatever the case may be. However you get your package, it goes to the old saying, "Fuck the messenger. Did you get the message?" That's what I'm telling the people when I get another drawer because I'm sick of these iPhones. Don't worry about the green bubble. Did you get the message? Did I call you? Did you hear from me? Yeah. So that's in the case of this package as well. You know, it's just I understand people are tired. I understand. So to be up 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you then have to deliver stuff, it's like, dude, if I mess up your skin, I just did. So I understand from a human perspective, you know, because it's hard to do anything in this type of heat. But then it's going to be extremely cold again, like it was earlier this year. So it's like we're at a point now, ain't no more spring. It's either going to be really hot, really cold. All right. If you have kids, God bless you. I don't think it's and this ain't the personal hour, but I don't think it's inclined. I don't think it'd be smart for me to have kids, when the world is becoming jello. Let me just wait on that. Yeah, I don't want to put them through like Terminator survival. Like, it's about to be AI walking around, not Allen Iverson. It's about to be hot, extremely hot or extremely cold, two weather patterns. famish in the land. I hate to be morbid because you came here to, I guess, hear me talk, but I got to be a realist. So I feel like I'm like John Connor. I've been watching a lot of Terminator too. I feel like John Connor, like join the resistance. So, and it's crazy because I use a AI site to do these clips. So I definitely like, are you talking to us? Yeah. You understand that? Take that for data. But no. So, you know, that's what's been going on with my life. My life is very simplistic, as I said before. Just I record, you know, in the past couple of weeks, I feel like I've been recording a lot, but my mind is just always all over the place. This past week I did a couple things as of this recording. So this prior week, check out Wrestle Rap. I was on there with Sparks. Shout out to Sparks. Second time this year being on there. I did the job for Vin. Did it for Sparks. We were supposed to do this a year ago, but you know, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Great episode from him. He said, I wouldn't know because 9 times out of 10, when I do something, I remember little pieces of what I said. And people think I'm ripping them. Like when I do stuff, I kind of forget it ASAP. Like as of this recording, I'm supposed to be recording something else. Dude, I'm probably going to forget everything. Because I'm always like, next thing. I'm always like, all right, what's next? That's how I am. It's just, I'm always like, what's next? That's with everything in my life. Like once the job gets done, all right, what's next? And if there's no job, cool. I'm about to sit here, find something to watch because I don't have my Steam Deck. And, you know, that's what it is. Wash my ass, eat, go to sleep as best as I can. And I didn't as much as I did yesterday. Like, and I thought I was going to be trained. I have an insane amount of energy because I thought I was going to be whipped. And I still went to sleep late. But I got up late. So, tells you everything you need to know. 2 days of hardcore manual labor in the sun, moving objects. So I'm old school tough. I'm from the old school, y'all. I'm old school. But let's get into these topics. So what do you guys want to talk about? I think let's get right into it. All right, man. So shouts out to Cody. He'll never listen to this because he don't like anything anybody does, not even his stuff. Cody from Black and Out with my brother. Shouts out to my brother Antonio, one of my favorite people on the planet. More than likely he'll be listening to this. I bring up names because, you know, since January, I've said, let me get straight into it. Since January, since Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns had a match for the 3rd time in the past 3 years, I said, all right, man, let's wrap it up. If I have to cycle the same people from the same pay-per-view 3 years ago, that's a problem. And the match wasn't as good as the one in 2021. You know, it was a stipulation match, but still, it wasn't as good as the one in 2021. The Bloodline stuff. All right? It's time to call it. Let me get straight to the point. It's time to call it. It was good while it was lasted. It's one of the greatest storylines in pro wrestling history. If you want to go back to the 80s, Flair versus Rhodes. Steamboat, it was just good matches. I wouldn't say that's a great program. Hogan versus the Giant. Hogan versus Macho Man. Then you get to the 90s. You got Sting versus NWO was great. But the biggest selling points was probably more so definitely Vince. I think that might be so. Stone Cold versus The Rock might be the highest grossing program in pro wrestling history. As far as like the merch, the ratings, all that stuff people care about, which you should care about merch because that's how you make your annually money. And I'll get to that in a minute as it relates to Bloodline. But more so, that's how you make your most money. When the two biggest stars in the business are clashing on and off, and that was on and off. Whereas this Bloodline thing has been consistently going. But with Stone Cold versus The Rock, it'll be like, all right, I think it started like 98, 99, they had the WrestleMania match. 2000, Stone Cold was out because of the neck injury. He had to get more surgery because, prior to that, RIP on Hart, he sustained that neck injury and he was out. But then it kind of came back and bothered him again because it's a neck injury. And science wasn't as advanced as it was now. And then there you go. So he was out in 2000. So that's why we was left with The Rock versus Triple H over and over, which is another draw, but not as much as these others at all, just because I don't think Triple H was a draw. I think by default, and that's the whole conversation, Triple H was the heel by default back in the 2000s because you had no other heel. Everybody was over as a baby face. And, he played being a prick very well because, it seems to be, it's closer, fiction is closer to truth, so to speak, whatever the phrase is. So they said that might be real. But nonetheless, and then you got, after that, kind of was like, all right, it's feuds that were drawing, but not as big as the 80s and 90s, like John Cena versus Randy Orton. John Cena versus The Rock drew. That probably drew the most in this past decade. I don't know. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H drew back in the mid 2000s when Shawn Michaels came back. So it's feuds that drew, but they weren't consistently going. With this Bloodline for 3 years now, almost 3 years. It'll be almost 3 years. I want to say next month when the Jey Uso thing started. They just had a match, obviously, at SummerSlam, where it's been going nonstop. Now, I will say, far as a program, I can't recall a program. I'm going off the top of my head. A program that consistently went for years. I felt like Flair versus Rhodes went for maybe a year. And then, of course, they are part of the NWA. So, that territory, you can do that for a while. I mean, switch on and off. Also, that helped the trajectory of, and I probably messed up that word, of WCW becoming what it did. Also, too, because I forgot the worker. He had Dark Side of the Ring. He got in an accident. It was Magnum T.he. Magnum T.he got in an accident who was supposed to actually get the title off Flair. So if that didn't happen, maybe there is no WCW. Maybe it is. But with them, that program lasted a year. Maybe a little bit longer. I should do my research, but I feel like it was more so a year. Because programs back in the day, it'd be like a year. Other than Stone Cold versus Vince. Now, that went on for a while. About a year or two. 2 years. But the way, and maybe it's just because we didn't have social media, and maybe because they had more workers. They definitely had way more workers back then, because it's like mid to lower card workers were more memorable. It's time for a shape up. Mid to lower workers were more memorable back then, to a certain degree. I think now with social media, maybe more so the ones that are working now are going to remember more than the ones from my day, from the Attitude Era. But, now it's the point of, is anybody really a lower card worker? That brings up another question. Everybody seems to have something to do in the E. I'm speaking more so the E. Maybe even AEW. Like, there's really no lower card workers, in my opinion, because everybody's on TV for the most part. And if you aren't on TV, it's just they don't want you to be there. So maybe you're a lower card worker, but I don't know. Main Event has people on there, but even then, they kind of switch them off and put them on TV. So I think it just differs. But going back to the Bloodline, it's been almost 3 years. The Jey Uso match just happened with Roman Reigns. That's the third match they've had in almost 3 years. The Kevin Owens thing. Sami Zayn getting the Bloodline, which was great. I think last year, that's when it peaked. When Sami Zayn got in the Bloodline, that's when it's like, okay, this is as good as it's going to get. But people played it as if it's going to get better. No, I knew at that point it would peak because you have something that shouldn't work. Now I know Sammy's definitely, at that point was happy. I don't know how he feels about money, but I'm pretty sure in the year 2023, no matter where you at, you might be a capitalist just based on, you know, what's going on, because everybody needs some money. So he definitely made his biggest financial year last year, being a part of Bloodline, which leads me to what I'm about to say right now, as to one reason why they're keeping it going. So I'll put it over, then I'll start to bury this storyline. And it's not really burial, it's just, it's the criticism I had earlier when I brought up two guys I'm close to, Paul's, and also how I feel about it personally. But then I'll bring up the business acumen of why it's probably still going on right now, which is everything. It is definitely the business aspect of it keeps it going. And then people could say, well, how much more money do you need? More money is always more needed. WWE got sold for 9, 10, 11 billion, however much it was. You think Vince ain't sitting up there like, I can get another bill? Bow. I can get another billion off this bow. Like, I understand. This is coming from somebody with no money. All right. I can use hell, a billion. I can use 9,000 right now. A billion. Y'all never see me again. You give me a couple billion. Hell, you can give me a couple million. You'll never see me get a billion. I'm going to space. I'm going with the aliens, yo. That's what I'm doing. Phone home. So with this program, I understand why it keeps going on. I feel like I'm jumping over the place. That's why you got to take notes, kids. But I understand why it's going on, because the business acumen that comes with it. I can only imagine how the merch is, because they got a new shirt like every week. So that's why I brought up Sami Zayn, honorary Ooze shirt. Those were selling like crazy. I feel like he had 2 more shirts before he left. But it seems to be every couple months. Not even every couple months. It seems like every month it's a new shirt. But you can do that when you're drawing. So I can say what I say about this program. Like, I feel like it shouldn't end. January, I didn't like the match with Sami Zayn. I rewatched it last week, but I'm about to watch it again. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, which probably is my probably is my match of the year, if not the triple threat between Sheamus, Drew, and Walter. I said that last Monday. It's between those two. Same day, uh, you know, same pay-per-view, which tells you everything you need to know. That WrestleMania this year is probably my pay-per-view of the year thus far. I don't think anything is going to change that. It'll be hard, to beat that. So going back to this long 3-year program, if it wasn't making money, I don't think it'll go on this long. That's plain simple. I think everybody knows that. If it wasn't drawing as much money as it is, because it is drawing money, like the ratings, like wrestling fans seem to, do this rating thing now. It's always moved the goalpost to say who's better. But, when I was coming up in the Attitude Era back in my day, yeah, ratings mattered because we didn't have streaming. So it was like a real watch. It's the same thing as when albums were selling. This is a legit shoot, 9 million copies sold from Eminem, because you had to go in the store and buy it. Even if somebody bootlegged it, copied the CD, they still had to go in and buy it. You couldn't just download it from LimeWire at that point and then put it on a disc. That was like early 2000s. So I understand where ratings mattered then. Now it's a sense of, everybody has an app. Whether you have the USA app, DirecTV app, whatever app you have, you're able to watch this stuff illegally. It's the same thing with albums. Like, they got rid of the bootleggers just to bootleg the albums. All right. So it's something to that. I will say when it was in Madison Square Garden, they said like this is the highest. I think they said this is the highest watched segment in SmackDown history, 9 million people or something like that. I agree with it because they do have points where it's must see TV. I'll give them that. Uh, the trial, the Uso trial with Sami Zayn, and I need to go back to last year because that him being a part of Bloodline was very entertaining. Again, I felt like that was the peak. Then after that, it was like you can't get any better. And I still feel like that because it's been almost a year since that trial. Or was that like this year? No, that definitely was this year because they had the match in February and then he did the turn in January. Yeah, that's right before they had the War Games match at Survivor Series. So, yeah, that was last year. So after that trial, I was like, yeah, you can't go from here that they had on Raw. It was entertaining as hell. The Uzi segment, like you can't go up from there. He gave a comic relief to such a serious group. You need that. It was like on Heart being part of the Nation of Domination. Like one of these things are not like the others, but it's funny and it helps because you need comedy even in dramas. You need comedy. So they peaked last year. Then when you get to all right, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, I think that's it. You know, some type of variation tag match with the Usos, which was the main event for night one. Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Yeah, they had to get the titles. They haven't done anything since then. Whereas the Usos work, and I hope, first of all, they're getting their best money ever in the past 3 years. Definitely in the past year or two, since the Bloodline stuff happened. Or where it is, or where it went from to where it is now, I should say. So they definitely making the most money ever, as they deserve it. But also they working more than the main guy. And I'm not knocking people like the main guy doesn't work. Well, when you're the biggest draw in the business today, one of the biggest draws ever, yeah, PTO. Plus, he has a lot of kids, and the man is older. He paid his dues, and he still has that sickness, maybe. And that's not me being, obviously, this dude is known by millions of people around the world. But we know, and you can look it up, he has a sickness. So it's not like, oh, I'm hiding because I know some person. No, it's just whether it's in remission or not. And, I hate to bring this up because if you know somebody or you going through it and you hear me talk about this, I don't want to, the whole trigger warning thing. It's like, all right, I understand. But in the case of this, I don't want it to affect somebody mental. So let me get past it. But whatever, he's going through with anybody else, to be compromise it, despite the fact that, yes, it's still out here. People just think pandemic means it's over. No, it's still out here. So I always think about that factor. And I think nobody else really thinks about that factor. Like, what if they're keeping him on a close knit? Not only is it because he's the money for the company, but because he still goes through what he goes through. So being on the road isn't really necessary. And then he just restructured his contract last year. I know, them zeros went up. And then also, the work rate, because I'm a father of, I think him and his wife have 4 kids, 5 kids. I have this thing I've been having forever. I work through it. I've done what I'm supposed to do. When I show up, people watch. They still buying the merch even if I ain't there. Yeah. I would do the same thing. Because the American dream is to work less, but make millions of dollars. Like, all right, everybody knows my insane work rate. I really should be recording a podcast right here, even though that doesn't take a lot of energy per se. Mentally, it does. It does. Like, I think people think you just jump in front of a podcast, cut a promo, and that's it. But that's a lot that goes in line with this. So I should just be shutting up, chilling, but there is no chilling. So I understand the American dream of work, and then when it's time for me not to work, I'm semi-retired, but I still make money. And clearly he's making the most money than anybody in pro wrestling right now. Just from a salary standpoint, and the annual for the merch is insane. Like I talked about the Usos, shouts out to Solo too. Solo doesn't even wrestle like that. He doesn't talk, making a lot of money right now. Like his salary is about to increase because of his brothers and his cousin. It's the American dream. I don't work a lot. When they need me to work, people look at me because I'm the enforcer for Roman right now, but I'm still making a lot of money. And because it's Bloodline, I'm pretty sure it's a combination of all. It's Paul Heyman. Well, when it was the Bloodline, because it's not even a Bloodline anymore. The Bloodline is running thing. It's like the story. So, they keep saying they like in a third inning or whatever. Kurt Angle, shouts out to the GOAT, Kurt Angle, he said they're lying. It's a bunch of bullshit, which is true. Because there's nothing else you can do. So I'm kind of going back and forth between burying it and putting over, but you got to be a realist. There's nothing else they can do. When will it end? See, that's the thing. I think it ends when people stop buying the merch. It ain't going to happen. So it might not never end, but it is an end point to it. Whether it be WrestleMania next year or whenever, if they really want him to break that record, but it's Cody Rhodes' time. Yeah, I said that. It's Cody Rhodes' time. Because, of course, they're going to run it back. They're going to run it back at Mania. And what is it, almost September, October? People was like, they're going to make it last a couple more months? Yeah. Why not? Because it's still making money. If it wasn't making money, they would have called it by now. They probably would have set up a match at SummerSlam. We don't know what's going to happen at Survivor Series. But usually they do champion versus champion or some type of war games. Probably be champion versus champion. I can see Roman Reigns going against Seth Rollins if he has the title at that point, which he probably will, just because we in September. Because they need to run back their Royal Rumble match from 2022, which was really good. So they might run this until WrestleMania, earliest Survivor Series, which is fine. I mean, Royal Rumble. But it's probably going to run into WrestleMania where we get Rose versus Reigns, and then Rose goes over because he's still over. The second biggest draw in pro wrestling, more than likely right now, the merch is moving. Those belts, T-shirts, everything. And it's the reason why they're the bus guys. If you don't know what the bus guy is, the guys that get buses across the country, and they probably get private flights, if not first class. Definitely Roman get private. Just because, you popping. When you popping, that's what happens. That's the benefits that come with it. Whether he works less or not. Like the dude is already, I've said it before. I feel like he's a three-time Hall of Famer. With the Shield, his first half of his career, the second half of his career. I've said it, it's like LeBron. LeBron is number 23, number 6. It's like 2 Hall of Fame careers. It's 2 decades of greatness. If you want to give him the first 10 years of Hall of Fame, that's a single Hall of Fame right there. Like from 2003 to 2013, what he did in that time, that automatically made him a top 5 great. Then if you want to give him from 2013 until now, that made him the second greatest player of all time over Kareem. Him breaking that record, yeah, I was like, yeah, he's over Kareem. He's number 2 now. Some people call him the GOAT. I wouldn't argue it. But still, that's 2 Hall of Fame careers for one person. In the case of Roman Reigns, because he was with probably the most successful faction ever, there you go. So I feel like he's a 3-time Hall of Famer. If you split up his career, a single career. He was the big dog. He was great then. He won multiple titles then. Then when 2020 happened and he turned to what we see now being the tribal chief, this 3-year run alone, that's like a second Hall of Fame career. Like he's doing stuff we haven't seen in decades. I think he's about to pass number 3 for like WWE champion. That's why I'm like, I don't know if you get past San Martino or Hulk Hogan. That's like 5,000 days. Like I don't think that happens. But it's the same thing with LeBron. Like If he never passed up Kareem, if he would have stayed second, that's still insane for a person that's not, a prototypical scorer who never was hurt. Other than he started showing his, what's the word I'm looking for? His mortality in 2018 when he got the quad injury. I think it was the quad injury on the Christmas games with the Lakers. Christmas game with the Lakers. That's when it was like, oh, okay, he's mortal. But still breaking the all-time scoring record is not. That's something we thought we'd never see. But last year when he became number 2, it was like, oh, this might actually happen if he could stay healthy. And he did stay healthy. I mean, obviously in the past year, he's been hurt more than ever, but, Father Time is undefeated, as we all know. And to still pass up that, even if he played 30, 40 games, to still pass up that record is something we never would imagine. Almost 40-year-old record. That stood there. It's multiple records. We never thought we would see Russ average triple-double 4 times. One time, and then doing it 3 more times is insane. I think it's 4 times. Still is insane. It's not an easy task for a 6'3", 6'2" guard. And then to see LeBron pass up Kareem, these are 2 generational players from my era. So I think the bloodline is running thin, but it'll keep going. It'll keep going. So I talked a little bit, I went from metaphorical with NBA players to now talking about NBA players. So I'll say this: congratulations to Dirk, D Wade, who is one of my favorite players ever, Becky Hammond, who is now on pace to become probably the second greatest women's basketball coach in history. Pat, God bless her. I can't remember her last name. That coach, Candace Parker in Tennessee, is probably the most accomplished. But Becky is on course to definitely be a number 2. Her rookie year as a coach, she coached the Aces. Be it that the Aces, you got 2 players that's 6'4" and over. You got a point guard that can shoot. You got 2. Just top to bottom overall, they got it. So they'll probably repeat as champions again by default, just because it's like nobody else is seeing them. They're under 10 losses. So she's on course to being that, especially if she goes back to back. She might pass up Coach Pat. She got in the Hall of Fame as a player. Played for the San Antonio Stars, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I'm missing Greg Popovich, who, that's one of his students, being Becky. She was assistant coach and then went on to coach the Aces last year. Greg Popovich, who is by far probably a top 3 coach ever. You got Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley. I think Steve Kerr is in the top 5. So I said 3, but I'll give my top 5. I think, and I was thinking about this earlier when I was leaving the gym. I think it's an argument to put Coach Kerr at number 3, just simply based on being 73-9. Even though he lost the championship, 73-9 in 2015-2016 season. 4 titles in the past, 8 years, which is insane. You coach a top 75 player, 3 other Hall of Famers, Kevin Durant, Draymond, and Clay. Other than 2 seasons when they became a lottery team, and that's how they got James Wiseman, they've averaged 50 wins. And he just rookie coach in 2015. Like, how do you get a title in your rookie season? Now, be it they had a system in place, and then when you get two of the greatest shooters, two two of yeah, the two. I'm sorry, the two greatest shooters of all time. Sorry if I'm all over the place. Again, it's kind of like punching for rappers. I do this off the top of my head. Pause. So I can't just be like rewind. This is live right now. When you have a system in place and the two greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest scorers of all time being Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry as well, the scariest guard since Michael Jordan. As far as like he puts fear in people's heart, I don't care what nobody says. Like there's no defense for that. They talked about, I forgot who talked about it, but it was on JJ Barrera's podcast. I mean JJ Redick's podcast. It was J.R. Smith played for the Cavs. He said Delly, being Matthew Dellavedova, literally had to go to the hospital because he was exhausted from guarding Steph Curry. And we hear that often because it's an offense that's ran through Steph Curry, of course, where he doesn't stop. That's what I was thinking about earlier as well, how it works with Chris Paul, because this is an older Chris Paul, but I think the genius of Steve Kerr allows this to run. But can you imagine for a minute a prime Chris Paul from 2015, 2014 playing on the same team as a Steph, Draymond, and Clay? Like you could put Chris at the one. I mean, they might do that too. Put Chris at the one, of course. Steph at the two, Clay at the three, Draymond at the four. But imagine they prime. Well, Steph Curry's always been in his prime. Dude been in his prime since the 2014-2015 season. So that Hall of Fame, that Hall of Fame is going to be interesting. But it just depends on when he retires. He could probably play another 5 more years at the least if he wanted to. Just because it doesn't seem like he's decreasing. And his game isn't, based on athleticism. Even though it's some athleticism to him to come out the dribble and shoot, especially after a screen or no screen, that's insane. But I still think he could play 5 years or more. But this Hall of Fame made me realize, dude, I'm getting old. Paul is in this too. Paul Gasol. Shouts out to Paul Gasol, who was already a bona fide Hall of Famer before going to the Lakers. But when you get 2 championships, yeah. And then, of course, he went to the Bulls after that. Did he go to one more team? I think he went one more team before retiring. But still, he was an older Paul Gasol on the Bulls team. And, that didn't work out well for us just because the Bulls are cheap and they like getting players that's kind of broke it down. Richard Hamilton, no disrespect. That's just how they work. I'm giving up that narcotic this season and the Cowboys. But nonetheless, this draft class, especially seeing D Wade, because I remember seeing D Wade play at Marquette on ESPN. Melo just retired this past season, so that's going to be crazy seeing him, being in the Hall of Fame. Seeing him just retire, made me feel old. It's just, I feel old now, or older, because I'm seeing people I used to watch in their prime just, retire, go in the Hall of Fame, which is weird. Because, again, I saw D-Wade play at Marquette. I remember Dirk getting to the league. I was watching him when I was small. I was playing as him and Steve Nash and Michael Finley, and I think Ardon Pierre was on that team. I think Zaza Pachulia was on the team. Whoever was the center. And I remember Nick Van Exel on them, playing on NBA Live as these teams, and then 2K. And then with D-Wade just being a fan favorite. Greg Popovich, still is the coach. And he might be coaching the future Hall of Famer being Victor. And, I just remember, seeing him win championships with the Spurs, which wasn't that long ago. The last championship they had was 9 years ago, which it's crazy to think about that. Kawhi in his 3rd season getting a championship. Who's a future Hall of Famer? It's crazy to think how time works. And this is why I said time is very perceptive, because we think like, I don't know. It's hard to, and that's my third eye conversation I can have. But it's always weird to think about, the construct of time. And it just seems like more than ever, time is going by faster. Like it's already August, about to be September. It does not feel like that. And it feels like at times I feel like I'm wasting time. I know I keep saying time, but this is where we at. Time is on my side, I guess. I don't know. But time is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated, and it showed. So to see these players going to Hall of Fame is just like, yo, you you know, you just think about where you were when you saw them play. You think about, where they are now, and you remember watching the games live. Like, that's it. I can just reminisce now, just watching D Wade go against, and it's just funny how life works. So the person that he beat in the '06 finals, he went in the Hall of Fame with at the same exact time, being Dirk in the '06 finals when he put up 40. Just going crazy in that finals. And Shaq told him take over. And he was the finals MVP. And then you cut to 2011 when the Mavs had an older team and they won a championship. And they beat that Miami Heat team in their rookie year together. And both of them are in the Hall of Fame together. That's crazy just how life works. Paul, not so much, just because the Lakers got beat in 2011 by Dirk and the Mavs team. And I think that was in the conference finals for them to get to the finals. So yeah, it's just life is very poetic, man. I think people make it harder than what it needs to be, but it's poetic. Like, God has a very funny sense of humor. And where's the K-Dot? God is one funny motherfucker. Like, bruh, it's funny to think about that. Now, as I'm talking to y'all, I'm thinking about it. So everybody beat each other in the Hall of Fame at the same time. It's crazy. I'm trying to think who's eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. I can't think of anybody. So they'll just like they basically what they're doing with the Hall of Fame right now is just like, all right, we'll fill in the blanks until these mega stars get in. Now, I mean, the people that get in stars, but the mega stars are coming up over the next couple of years, or at least from my teenage years, are going to the Hall of Fame. I think Jason Kidd is eligible next year, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta look and see. I think actually Jason Kidd might already be in there. I can't look right now, and I'm probably gonna be wrong, but it's fine. It's okay to be wrong. But yeah, so it's very interesting. I'm thinking about that whole versus thing. But that's it, man. I think that's all that's going on. NFL season is about to start. I'll talk about that probably in the coming weeks as we get closer to kickoff. So probably next week I might talk about it. We'll see, but I'll definitely talk about, or I might wait till week 1 and see what happens. Just because, I'm a little bit more hyped. Well, I can't say that. I think it's going to be a great season for NFL and NBA. Again, I'm going to get off the narcotic of the Cowboys after this year. But I think that's it, man. That's it. As usual, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Again, the presentation is coming. It's going to be better. I have plans to do this in a better situation, obviously, than y'all seeing Christmas trees and bright lights behind me. Like the gates of heaven is opening up. I wish if this were the gates of heaven, the Steam Deck would fall from it. It just hit the window like a meteor. But life doesn't work that way. So now I guess I got to lean on USPS being heaven's gate. They definitely moving like Jim Jones. They definitely are heaven's gate with how they trying to do something. Like, I don't know if I got to drink the Kool-Aid of USPS for them to enlighten me on why it takes 10 years for them to send something, but it'll come when it needs to. Pause. All right. So as usual, follow me at the man called Banks on IG. Like and subscribe here. As usual, thank you all for being here. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Until next time, we out.